The new goal is to cause an individual to become subservient to an imposed control, to the point where he will perform acts against his will and then have no memory of the act. The search for a real-life Manchurian candidate begins. In the Hollywood classic directed by John Frankenheimer, a hypnotized soldier is programmed to assassinate a presidential candidate. Like a clip from the movie, the CIA attempts to create its own Manchurian assassins using hypnosis and drugs.
You create this new identity inside that's hidden from the main part of the person by an amnesia barrier. And then using an access code, you can call out this new identity for whatever mission purpose.
To produce such an assassin, the CIA faces two main challenges: how to induce amnesia and how to program in new behavior. In 1957, Dr. Ewan Cameron, an eminent psychiatrist in Montreal, believes he has the answers.
The agency sought him out because they had noticed his work, in particular with two techniques: intensive electroshock and what he called psychic driving.
Cameron applies his techniques under the guise of normal therapy.
It's hard to say just how awful and horrendous what Cameron proposed and what our government financed was. There's a three-part technique which started with an effort to wipe out past patterns of behavior. And this was accomplished through the use of particularly intensive, repeated, high-level electroshocks until no more convulsions could be elicited from a patient.
Cameron then plays tape-recorded messages through helmets that are locked to his patients' heads.
Prepare to see a lot more of this Manchurian Candidate Mk Ultra type individuals going on a murdering spree. Just this year alone, you cannot even begin to count how many shootings, killings have been done, right? And now with informations like this, letting you know that the CIA, the alphabet boys, your government have already and always have their hand in messing with people's minds, their psyche, getting in their head to have them do things against their will, right? Turn individuals into assassins and unleash them out on the public, which is all part of the agenda, because they need this. They need the chaos. They need the lawlessness, if you will, anarchy. They need all of that to facilitate them coming in with the order, right? So prepare to see a lot more than this. Just this year alone, you cannot even begin to count how many of this Mk Ultra type individuals, this sleeper agent type individual activities that have been going on, right? You look at it at face value, it's just somebody out there just had enough, right? Or he's just lost his shit and went gung-ho, right? Shooting up the whole place. Just today, you've had some dude go to the church and clear the whole place out, right? And burn it down. So you will see a lot of this type of activities. And while you see a lot of these activities, keep in mind that the CIA are involved in creating individuals like this. Keep that in mind, right? Keep that in mind that they are involved in creating individuals like this. That's why I pulled this article. I put together that clip for you. We'll go into this article real quick, but before we go into that, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Racha HaKodash. Double honors to apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught us this truth and continue to teach us this truth. Peace, salutation, shalom, shalom, shalom to all your brothers and sisters out there that are of the household of faith, beginning with 144,000 down to the men, women, and children that are allotted to be delivered in these latter days, who are all of the elect, and to the brothers that are pushing this gospel in all sincerity and in all honesty, to you all I say shalom, right? Here we have this article here going into Project Artichoke, or Project Bluebird, right, they call it, which started way back in 1951 and went through that till up until 1973. And this is where Mk Ultra comes into play, because they made it look like they've done away with that. They come up with another name to replace, because once people start noticing this type of things, right, they change format, right? They change format a little bit. The main thing they change is the name, but the game stays the same, right? That's what they do. They change the name, but the game stays the same, right? So this is no different with this Project Artichoke or Bluebird or Mk Ultra. It's all the same thing, right? It says Artichoke was launched by Alan Dulles, who then Deputy Director of CIA, to replace and expand Bluebird as the major multifaceted military CIA project. Within weeks, the CIA had acquired secret prisons in the Canal Zone, West Germany, and Japan. Artichoke teams were sent overseas for brutal interrogations with drugs, hypnosis, and psychological harassment. Says, and special interrogation techniques. In other words, Artichoke is a project for refining torture techniques and field testing operations. McCoy, Torture and Impunity, 2012. Says its objectives were summarized in 1952 Memorandum: Evaluation and development of any method by which we can get information from a person against his will and without his knowledge. Can we get control of an individual to a point where he would do our bidding against his will and even against such fundamental laws of nature such as self-preservation? You see that? So here they are. They're saying, okay, if we can use this to get information out of somebody, how about we break their will with the same type of means and technology, and right? How about we break his will and have him do our bidding for us? Can we do that? And this is where this whole Project Artichoke, Project Bluebird, Mk Ultra type things came about, right? And believe you me, they've done this. They didn't stop doing this, even though, contrary to popular belief, they'll come and tell you that, oh, okay, we're ordered to stand down and stop. Nah, they just went underground. You don't hear about them, but you see their subjects. You might not know that they're test subjects, right? They're running rampant. They're doing all kinds of crazy stuff out there. A lot of them don't even know what they're doing, right? Like if you see the movie Manchurian Candidate, they have the old one, but the newer one that came out with Denzel Washington. And who are they? Soldiers. And they go on to tell you in this article, like it says here, it says the objective was to subvert a human being's freedom of thought and action, to enable the government to have total control over its citizens. You see that? So, and that's why Hollywood is there also, because part of this stuff is what you consume through your eyes, right? Part of the way the create this Manchurian candidates is they have to forcibly have you consume a lot of things, the things you hear, the things you see, and all of that, right? And Hollywood plays a huge role in that. There's been a lot of information that came out about Alice in Wonderland and movies like that, and then the other one is usually what they use for this type of tests and experiments and things. Damn, Alice in Wonderland. What is the other one? With the Tin Man and things like that. Damn, I forgot the name of that one. With the red shoes. You're no longer in The name is right on the tip of my tongue, but if you already know the things, you know what I'm talking about. They use those movies like that. So that's why Hollywood plays a huge role in this type of experiments. It says that objective was the connecting thread for all subsequent covert CIA mind control behavior modification projects. It says the subjects of artichoke experiments included American soldiers. That's why I was bringing up about the Manchurian Candidate movie. If you've seen it with Denzel Washington and the other actor in Ray Donovan, if you've seen the series Ray Donovan, I can't think of his name right now. Yeah, the two of them were there. Meryl Streep also was there in the movie, right? And a lot of these experiments, they do it with the soldiers, the military soldiers. That's why they call them jawheads, right? Jawheads. In other words, they're empty brain. You can do whatever you want with them, right? So it says experiments included American soldiers, prisoners in federal penitentiaries, and POWs, the prisoners of wars, right? It says, and subjected counterintelligence agents and mental patients, because they're already there, right? Mental patients, they're halfway there, because they're gone cuckoo already. All you got to do is just if you can mind control them now, because they've already lost their mind, because part of the thing is to make you lose your mind, right? That's why they give you the drugs. They give you, what is it, LSD and things like that, right? Mescaline and things like that. All these hardcore drugs, they give it to you to lose your mind, so they can infiltrate your mind and get a hold of it. So mental patients, their job is halfway done. Right? It says in one of the rare surviving official documents from Deputy General of the CIA Alan Dulles sent a secret memo to Richard Helms and CIA Deputy Director for Plans Frank Wisner regarding the specific kinds of interrogation techniques that will be used. In our conversation of 9th February 1951, I outlined to you the possibilities of augmenting the usual interrogation methods by the use of drugs, hypnosis, shock, etc., and emphasize the defensive aspects as well as the offensive opportunities in the field of applied medical science. It says the enclosed folder interrogation techniques was prepared in the medical division to provide you with a stable background. Jacobson, Operation Paperclip, 2014 excerpt. Right? It says Camp King was the perfect location to conduct these radical trials. Dulles explained that overseas location was preferred for artichoke interrogation since foreign governments permitted certain activities which were not permitted by the United States government, i.e. anthrax, etc. Contrary to the erroneous perception, artichoke did not meld into the massive nationwide mind control project Mk Ultra, which began in 1953. Artichoke continued, and one of its major objectives was to create assassins, Manchurian Candidate, and that's exactly what they did. That's why I talk about that movie, The Manchurian Candidate, with Denzel Washington and the Ray Donovan actor, right? He himself was born into the political family, right? And his mom, Meryl Streep, played his mom in the movie, right? She gave the okay to mind control them and turn them into whatever assassins, to the point where they did anything. They did anything, and they had triggers. If you haven't checked the movie out, I suggest you check it out, man. A very good movie, interesting movie, especially when it comes to this type of thing, right? And they were mind controlled, and they put in a mind control individual, which is the Ray Donovan character, They put him up as the next president. You see, so most of your so-called presidents, their mind is already gone, man. You know, they're just puppets playing a role, right? But back to the matter of hand, they are creating assassins and unleashing them out on the world. So prepare to see a lot of these things happening. Just in 2025 alone, there's been a lot. It's like every other day it is going down. Some shooting somewhere, right? Taking out a lot of people. It is all happening, right? So you have to pay attention to this stuff, you know. And I'll put together this clip you see here. It shows you that and all of that, right? So be very mindful. Things like that is going to be ramping up. You know, someone will just lose their mind and go crazy and just start dumping bullets, lead, filling up people with lead, right? So remember, the CIA have this kind of thing, have this kind of experiments going on, and it's been going on for the longest, for a very long time, since 1951, right? It's been going on, man. So imagine how they perfected this type of Manchurian Candidate sleeper agent Mk Ultra individuals, right? They've perfected them, right? And you can imagine the number of them out there, a whole lot of them. That's why we just saw it. We just witnessed a public assassination of Captain Kirk, right? We just witnessed that, whether it's real or not, you know, whatever it is, but we saw that right in our face. Somebody, you know, unalived him on live TV, if you will. It's like you're watching a pay-per-view for some snuff film, right? And all of this is all witchcraft. You have to understand this. All of these things is all witchcraft. It all goes back to sorcery. They might call it science or whatever the term they're trying to put it. It all goes back to witchcraft and sorcery. That's what they do, right? That's why you're not permitted to use drugs, pharmakia, because it messes with your psyche. You're not supposed to smoke weed and things like that. Methamphetamine, and you know, all these drugs that I got out there, because it messes with your psyche and you will be open to what God knows what, right? You see? So this is the book of Isaiah, the 47th chapter and the 9th verse. It says, well, both these things will come upon you in a moment, widowhood and the loss of your children. Yes, these calamities will come upon you. This is talking to Babylon, aka America, right? Despite all your witchcraft and magic. You see that? All your witchcraft and magic, you know? So witchcraft and magic is not just being done in basement somewhere. It's being done in the science lab, wearing science coat, things like that. You see? That is what it is. It is deeply rooted in witchcraft and magic and ritualistic practices. That's what you're looking at. This is the left-hand energy at play here. That's why they have the wherewithal to do all this stuff. It says, you felt secure in your wickedness. The wicked elites on down, which run America, which run the whole world. They felt secure in their wickedness. No one sees me, you said, but your wisdom and your knowledge have led you astray, right? So they have the, like I said earlier, they have the wherewithal to do all these things, and they went ahead and did it. And that's what we're reading here in this article here, right? They've been doing it. Torture and impunity. They have base in foreign lands carrying out all these practices. You see? So that's that wickedness that the scripture is talking about. That's, it says, your wisdom and your knowledge have led you astray. It says, and you said, I am the only one and there is no other. So they have the God complex, the wicked elites. They have the God complex, who are Edomites, right? They have the God complex, and to them, they can do whatever. That's why they don't care about who they hurt, what life they take, how they mess up the food, the healthcare system, all of that. Because to them, we can do whatever. We are gods, right? It goes on to say, so disaster will overtake you, talking to the wicked elites, and you won't be able to charm it away. Calamity will fall upon you, and you won't be able to buy your way out. So ultimately, all the wickedness they've done, all this atrocities, these crimes against humanity that they've perpetrated all throughout the world, guess what? The day of reckoning is coming. So it goes on to say, a catastrophe will strike you suddenly, one for which you are not prepared. You see, why are you not prepared? Because the second coming of our Lord is coming back in a terrible way. The scripture says he will not meet thee as a man. So the second coming of our Lord, you're not prepared to fight with it. Your arms are too short to box with God. You see? It says, now use your magical charms. You see? Now use your magical charms. Use the spells you have worked all these years. That's why even in the English language you call it spells, because it's all part of a witchcraft. All of it. This is left-handed energy at work, at play here. And the topic at hand, Project Artichoke, Project Bluebird, MK Ultra, kind of things, kind of experiments are all deeply rooted in witchcraft. That's exactly what it is. Magical charms, if you will. It says, use the spells you have worked at all these years. Maybe they will do you some good. Maybe they can make someone afraid of you. So this is the Most High being facetious with the wicked elites. You know, he's telling them you're always going into your witchcraft. You're always going into your magical things. That's why they call Hollywood, going back to the Druids, right? They use the hollow wood to carve their wands. You know, think about Harry Potter series, which is made all kinds of money, because that's the energy of the world, the vibration the world is in right now. You know, the wizarding world, Hogwarts of witches and wizards. Back in the day, you'd be burned for even mentioning something like that. But here it is, it's making billions of dollars in movies, right? Because that is the vibration of the world. So he's saying here, the Lord is being facetious. Go trust in your magical whims and your witchcraft and all of that, and see how far you will go with that, if it will save you from what I'm about to do to you. It says, all the advice you receive has made you tired. Where are all your astrologers, those stargazers who make predictions each month? Where are they? You know, let them stand up and save you from what the future holds. You see, just the Most High being facetious with, go call your stargazers, your astrologers, all your witches and warlocks, and see if they will really, really protect you from what I'm about to do to you. Why? Because all they've done to the earth, the vibration the world is in, is because of the wicked elites and their witchcraft and their evil deeds, if you will. So Nahum, the 3rd chapter, in the 4th verse, it says, because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcrafts. What is that? It's going into America, the Babylon the Great, which is spearheaded by the wicked elites, the Edomites that run the whole show. So they are all into witchcraft. That's why the children come up missing, and they use them to do all this stuff, right? Child trafficking is still an epidemic till today. Where are the Epstein files? You never see that. Well, no, you're not going to see that, because you have to lock every one of them up. You know, if you're going to start bringing out files and naming names, you have to lock every single one of them up. Right? It says that selleth nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcrafts. That's exactly what America has done. It has corrupted the rest of the world with all these witchcraft practices. Every world is trying to be like the Hollywood, the way that Hollywood makes movies and all of that. which goes back to witchcrafts and sorceries and things, which goes back to how they're able to manipulate someone's mind. That's why in the book of Ephesians, this fifth chapter, is it? Tells you that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, or we wrestle against principalities and powers, wickedness in high places. All of that he mentioned. This is why you have to put on the whole armor of God. See that? Because this is what you're dealing with: witchcraft in high places, man. This type of level of wickedness and evil. Your physical carnal mind cannot wrestle against that. It's way beyond you. So you got to put on the full armor at all times. It says, behold, I'm against thee, say the Lord of hosts. I will discover thy skirts upon thy face. And it's happening right now, right? It is happening in an exponential rate. The wicked elites are being revealed on all fronts, right? On the internet, everywhere. Everybody's calling them out. So that is what it means. I will discover thy skirts upon thy face. Because remember, the whore of Babylon is likened to a woman, which is America is likened to a woman. The scarlet whore that sits on the beast. The beast being the seven heads and the 10 crowns, right? The NATO and the EU. That's what they are. That's the beast system. And the whore that sits upon it is America. So America's witchcraft and sorcery is being revealed. So when you pull up a woman's skirts, you show her privates. That's a metaphor here. So I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and show the nations thy nakedness, and the kingdoms thy shame. I will cast abominable filth upon thee, and make thee vile, and will set thee as a gazing stock. That's why, you look at the deeds of the wicked elites, it's like, damn, these guys are truly vile, man. They have islands dedicated them being sexual deviants. Sexual deviants, man. They have islands dedicated for that. And now it's all coming out. It all comes out in the wash. That's why it's saying here, make thee a gazing stock. So the rest of the world is seeing all of this and looking at them sideways like, what the hell? What the hell? Let's close out with this in the book of Psalms, the 7th chapter, the 9th verse. It says, oh, let the wickedness of the wicked come to an end. So all these practices, being able to manipulate minds like this through this left-handed practices, has to come to an end. Because remember what we read here, that they're doing this out on their own citizens. What was that again? Excuse me for that. Just trying to find that here we read where they carry these things out on their citizens. I think it's somewhere here. Yeah, right here. So the objective was to subvert a human being's freedom of thought and action to enable the government to have total control over its citizens. So this kind of thing has to come to an end. This is what they want to do: total control of your mind, your thought. So the George Orwell's book 1984, they have the thought police, policing your thoughts. See, the brain is the final frontier. Your mind is the final frontier. They're trying to get in your mind to have total lockdown of your mind. You see, so let the wickedness of the wicked come to an end, but establish the just, for the righteous God trieth the hearts and reins. See, it says, my defense is of the Most High, which saveth the upright in heart. That is what we pray, and always put on that full armor, right? Because that's where you get your defense. Without that, you're subject to all these kind of things, being turned into some assassin puppet. It's subject to all kinds of things. So you need to have that defense. So the Most High judgeth the righteous, and the Most High is angry with the wicked every day. And now we see why. The things they do, the way they run the earth, the way they pollute everything, they pollute the minds of the people, they turn the people against what is righteous, just, and true. They turn the people against their Creator, right? They totally pollute every single aspect of our lives, right? Every single aspect. So the Most High is angry with the wicked every day for what they've done, their deeds, their wicked ways. And just a little something to just make it known with all these killings that are happening. Every day, it seems now, every day some killing is happening out there. So a lot of these people could very well be MK Ultra, Project Tavichok type individuals, man. Manchurian Candidate type individuals. They just unleash them out on the world, and prepare to see a lot more of that, because it all ties in with the agenda. It all ties in. And with that, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushai, Ba'Hashem Ruach HaKodash. Double honors to apostles and elders of the Great Millstone. See you next time, Lord willing. Shalom. Shalom.